Hello, friends. Caty here, hiring and team building coach. And I want to come on today, Friday, to talk about something that happens with every single person I talk to about hiring. They're like, I don't know who to hire first. I don't know if I should hire a VA or social media manager. And I'm going to talk about both of those today. So if you're here live, comment below. I have my Facebook pulled up on my computer over here so I can see any comments as they come in. Yay, okay, it's working. So yes, say hello. Let me know if you have a VA, if you have a social media manager, if you're not sure, because this is honestly like the number one, and it's almost always between these two. So I know a lot of people in my space have like assistant coaches or OBMs and like other types of team members, but for your very first hire, it's usually, hey Rachel, it's usually a virtual assistant or VA or a social media manager. So the way I kind of distinguish, there's really three ways to kind of tell, but of course, every business is different and every conversation I have with someone is different. You know, it matters if you're online, if you're offline, if like where your business is at, where your revenue's at. But there's kind of three ways you can really start to answer that question. And inside my Dream Team Bootcamp, we go through a really deep dive exercise of like all the tasks you're doing, and that also just helps solidify. But if you're at the stage where you're like, I just don't know which one I even should start with. So first thing, of course, is to figure out which one you're good at. So if you're deciding between a VA who can do mostly admin, like they can do tech things. Of course, every VA is different, but admin, tech, hey Jess, or they can do, some of them can do like light design, some of them can help with more complex like funnel setup, totally depending on who the VA is, and also just organization. So helping with your email, your calendar, Google Drive, like a lot of the foundational stuff with systems and getting those set up. And then, of course, a social media manager manages your social media. And again, every social media manager is different too. Some of them are like awesome at actually creating the content and like repurposing your videos and your content. Some are better at just scheduling and making sure you're across all platforms. But if you're going to go for it and get a social media manager, you may as well get someone who can also write. Like, why bother having someone just schedule? So first, there's two differences. But if you're at the point where you're like, I know I need to hire, I'm like so busy, I can't keep up with it. It's just figure out, well, which one are you better at? Like, which one do you like more? Because that's the one you can hold on to a little longer. So that's like just one piece. Like I said, there's three things to kind of ask yourself. But if you're naturally really good at the tech and you already have all of your ConvertKit or Entreport set up, and you already have all of your like your client experience kind of set up and the contracts, like if you've got that, if your email inbox isn't out of control and you're not really bothered with it, start with the social media manager. That's usually a point. I don't think I've ever worked with a client who was like, no, I feel really good about my social media. I feel like I'm showing up and I feel great. Almost everyone I talk to, including just my friends, that's like something that everyone's worried about. They're like, I know I could be doing more. I feel like I'm not showing up enough. Or like some people too, like especially if you're an offline business and you're bringing it online, it's kind of just overwhelming because you already have all of your offline marketing and your offline stuff, and then you have to go learn Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and like learn all this shit. So that's kind of like a deciding factor. Or if you're like, no, like I do feel really good about my social media. I'm getting lots of leads from it. I'm like really consistent with my Insta stories, my Facebook lives, but it's the other stuff I'm worried about. Like I can't design stuff. Canva kills me. Like I hate replying to all of the same support emails. You know, I'm always double booking myself. So if admin and organization is something you're struggling with, then start with the VA. Like those are just simple. And you might be like, okay, but I need help with both. And yes, a lot of times that's the case. I'm going to go through the next two questions too, and then kind of speak to that if you're like, listen, I need both. So the next thing you can ask yourself, and I see we have more people hopping on. Hey, Ashley, Jess. Yes. I know. Jess, you said, and I know you have a social media agency, I believe. You got to be really careful about who you hire for social. Many people claim to be experts and are not. Yes. And I can speak to this as well, just from personal experience, where, and I'll touch on this again after I go through the 3 questions, but to kind of ask yourself to figure out who to hire first. But I've seen a lot of VAs go through a VA course, and then, after that, take a couple social media courses, and they're like, I'm an expert at Instagram. And I'm just like, have you ever managed an Instagram account? You're just saying that because you took a course? It's very, very sketchy and makes me very nervous. And I've been, on the side of hiring people, and then this was totally a mistake on my end and the client's end of just trusting when they say they can write, that they can write, and then seeing them after you hire, seeing the copy they write, and you're like, oh my God, this is not good. So that's definitely a lesson I've learned the hard way, to now ask for samples and other ways you can make sure that people actually know what they're doing on social. Because yes, Jess, that's a very real thing. Yeah. So the 2 other questions you can kind of ask yourself if you're deciding between which one to start with is just what you're most overwhelmed with at this moment. So when I very first hired my first VA, I was insanely overwhelmed with my inbox, my email inbox, and my Facebook messages, and my Facebook group. So that's more VA type of stuff, because it's not she wasn't posting on social for me or posting on Facebook, but we were having 50, we were accepting 50 new people to our group every week, which means we were accepting 10 a day, the limit. So there was hundreds of requests to our Facebook group, and I just couldn't get to them. And then we were messaging everyone, and I couldn't get back to them. I would have 50 plus messages all the time, and then getting the same questions in my email inbox. We had a really solid funnel set up, so people were responding to our emails every day, and it was extremely overwhelming. And that's what I was most panicking about every morning and every night, because you can't ever catch up on messages. You're never going to answer them all and have the inbox cleared in a situation like that, which is good. This is a good problem to have. I had too many leads. But that's what I hired her to help me with. So she was answering email support questions. She was helping me with my Facebook inbox. She was helping me accept and screen people, because we didn't want to just accept everyone into my Facebook group, because it's really close-knit, high quality people. So that was what I was most overwhelmed with. And that was great. I hired her, and it was amazing. It was the best thing ever. And then the same thing happened when I hired my social media manager 6 months later. That's what I was most overwhelmed with. I had grips on everything else. The email inbox was good, Facebook group was good, clients were good, everything was good except social media. I was just I have so much content, and I'm so overwhelmed with repurposing and showing up and doing lives, and it was game changing to hire her. And even the simple act of her, she scheduled Facebook Lives for me. I think I gave her the time, but every Wednesday at 3:00, and then she would post about it the day before. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I have to now. Now everyone's commenting that they're going to be there, and just simple things like that, having someone else to hold you accountable. And also she just worked magic. I've talked about that before in other lives, but she worked magic for me. Just in the beginning, so much of it was repurposing old content, old emails, old posts, and just helping me show up consistently and not just pop in when I had a launch coming, and be only selling. So that was part of it. And then also she saved me the mental time and the physical time, so I had more time for sales calls. So my month after I hired her was my biggest month in business ever. And there were so many factors that went into that, but a lot of it was I had the time back to myself, and she was posting consistently for me so that people knew that I was offering something and that I was there and what I did. Crazy stuff. So those are the first 2 questions you can ask yourself. 1, what are you good at? 2, what are you most overwhelmed with right now? And I see we have more comments. Jess, most entrepreneurs aren't ready to hand off their messaging yet. I agree that I agree with that statement, and I'm also, it's totally trainable. Like I said, my very first hire was someone who was doing my messaging for me, and yeah, it's not easy. Like, you definitely have to practice a lot of like letting go of a lot of control issues, but we found a way, and we found the system that worked, where I was training her in my email inbox first so that I could still see like everything she was saying, and like help and answer questions. Oh my gosh, we had the system. It was amazing for me to train her, and she got to the point where sometimes, and my social media manager has done this too, so both of those two hires, they would post something and I'm like, did I say that or did you say that? Like, I feel like I wrote that, but I don't remember. And they're like, no, I wrote that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy. So it's something that a lot of people aren't ready to do, but I think a lot more of them would benefit if they would practice and like lean into it more, because it was game changing, and it is hard, because for me, like, that was something that's directly related to my sales. You know, if she's answering the emails that are coming in from my email funnel, the idea is that they answer the email, and then we have a conversation, and then they fill out the application, and we get on a sales call. So if she's fucking up those conversations, yeah, I'm gonna have less sales. So like, it was really important for us to get it right, and it also just felt really good to let it go, like fully let it go. I was sleeping better. I could like take a day off on a Friday and not be worrying about messages stacking up or group requests stacking up. It's amazing. Okay, so those are the first two questions, and the last question you can ask yourself is just what you have coming down the pipeline. So if you're 60 days out from a huge launch for your program, maybe it does make more sense to hire the social media person. Or maybe if you're 60 days out from your program and none of the content is created, you have 0 PDFs, you don't even have the platform picked out, you don't have Thinkific or Kajabi or like anything set up, and you're like, you have no processes for when new customers come on, it might make more sense to do the VA. Or if you're like, like I said, if you're terrible with your schedule and always double booking, or just like go all the time, hiring that VA to help you just like organize your life, help you make the plan, help you execute, and like keep you accountable will be just as beneficial. So most of the time you can't go wrong. I would definitely say in most cases though, like with most of my clients, there is like a clear right answer every time. And a lot of times too, like one of my one-on-one clients, we just hired like her unicorn VA. She was my favorite. She was like my unicorn client too, by the way. I just told her this the other day. I was like, you're ruining one-on-one clients for me because you're amazing. And then like now everyone else has to be as amazing as you. But we hired her unicorn VA, and she's already like, okay, this is great. Let's spend like really focused time getting you trained. And then really soon after that, I want to hire a social media manager. So it just like gets the ball rolling. For sure. And then, so those are those 3 questions. I'm going to pause because I almost launched into something totally different. Start with what you're good at, what you like doing. Keep that to yourself. Hire for the things you're not good at. What are you most overwhelmed with right now? And then what do you have coming down the pipeline? Those are just like 3 simple questions to ask to like guide you to the right direction. And I will say there are unique cases where you might be able to find one person for both of these. And it totally depends on your business. And this wouldn't be like the long-term game. But there are plenty of like, I don't like the word like jack of all trades, because that usually isn't like always a good thing. Like if you're good at everything, you can't be good at everything. But I know plenty of people who are really good at VA work, and also just with working with their different clients, or maybe having gone to school for digital media, like they get the social media stuff too. So if you're like in a pinch, like that's kind of the idea of a startup, is like everyone's doing a little bit more, like right now you're doing everything. So it's not crazy to hire someone else to do more than one thing. I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's not a good long-term strategy, and depending on your business and how many people you already have, ultimately you want everyone to be really focused. But for your very first hire, if you're hiring someone who is a VA, like I know a couple VAs who are really great content writers, and that could totally like get by with helping you schedule your social media and like map things out, and again, help keep you accountable, create content calendars, maybe not write every single post, but like they could get you by totally. And the two of you can kind of grow together, and then when they outgrow some of those tasks, you hire someone else. It's exactly what I did with one of my first VA clients. She was like one of my first 5, and I started as her VA. I was editing her podcast, and slowly over the next 3 years, like she was building a copywriting agency, and every time I outgrew what I was doing, we hired someone else for that. And same with her, like both of us. So, you know, it was just the two of us, and she was doing the copywriting, and then she hired a copywriter. And then I was kind of doing some copywriting, and then I was doing project management. But then when I outgrew the project management and I was doing more like COO stuff, we hired a project manager. We hired, like every time I outgrew any task, we hired someone else to do it. So like I said, you don't just want to hire like a miniature you and then have 2 of you doing everything, because that's not a good strategy either. But you can sometimes find that unicorn that can do both of those things depending on the level that you want them to do. So, hope this answers your questions. I see, yay, we have some more people liking. I love this. If you are at the point where you're like, oh, I know I need to hire, I'm like drowning. That actually literally happened. So I have a couple people going through the bootcamp right now, and one of them signed up in January, like the beginning of January. And, you know, life happens, and she has a kid, and there was like a birthday, and they were traveling, and just like life things. So it kind of got spread out and pushed off and delayed. And normally when people go through my bootcamp, you can have your job posting posted within, like in the first week, if you like really dive in, and you can have someone hired within like 3 to 5 weeks. Usually it's like 3 to 4. So like over a month had gone by, and she hadn't posted her job posting yet. And then all of a sudden she was like, you guys, oh my God, like I just signed up like 3 new clients. I'm completely drowning. I need someone yesterday. Like, why did I wait so long? And that's what I hear almost every time after someone actually hires someone is, why did I wait this long? Why did I wait this long? Why did I do everything by myself for so long? I've had clients who were one-woman shows for like 10 plus years, and they hire someone, and now one of them, she's like traveling the world on a tour, a book tour for her new book, and her VA is helping her manage her social media and like do all these things. It's just crazy. So if you've been waiting, or you're just starting to think and you don't want to be that person who's like, why did I wait so long? Comment below or send me a DM. I'd love to see if the Dream Team Bootcamp would be a good fit for you. We dive like way deeper into this topic of who to pick first. And like I said, there's a really amazing exercise we go through. You basically like write your job description. It writes your job description for you, because it's just so amazing. So would love to see if you're a good fit for that. It's open enrollment right now, and the people who are in it they've all like, they're doing their last interviews this week, and they're literally picking people, and it's so fun. Like, it's just fun. They're excited, and they don't feel alone in their business anymore. And especially as women, like just having that support, you know, like business owner women, we're used to doing it ourselves. Usually it's like very masculine energy, you know, we have to come up with the answers. We have to figure it out, and to have someone just step in and like, just like share the weight. It's just unreal. So comment below if you have questions. Comment below if you want more info on joining the boot camp. Send me a DM. I see you already have a DM, so I'm wondering if someone's already reaching out. And yeah, I hope this helped. excited. If you're about to hire someone, I'm excited for you, because all I can say is that it's fun. It's so much fun. So fun. Yay. Okay. Happy Friday.